Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, I'm going to be telling you guys 15 things you need to know before you end up buying the Overflod Imorgon sports car. And this is a pretty unique one, that's for sure. So right off the bat, I was intrigued on what this car was based off of in real life, and it's actually based on the 2018 methanol electric sports car made by Roland Gumpert Nathalie. And it's an interesting design, that's for sure. Its price is $2,165,000, making it one of the most expensive sports cars in the entire game. So, needless to say, this car better have some cool features if it wants to hold that $2 million price tag down. So, let's go ahead and take this vehicle into the Los Santos custom shop. And it's off to a good start. 22 options of customization. That's obviously very good. It starts with the bumper options where you can choose between different bumpers and splitters and primary plastic and carbon colors. Now, what's interesting is there's only like 7 or 8 or 9 front bumpers, but there's 21 rear bumpers. So I don't know why Rockstar decided that there should be so many more rear bumpers than front bumpers. But there you go. You can make a ton of different customization options here, depending on what type of design you want the car to ultimately have. Now, after you've chosen your bumper options, you get to modify the chassis. And the chassis is going to have an impact on the interior of the car. And there's also 25 different options here. It is crazy the different setups that you can have. And some of them make pretty simplistic changes. In fact, all of the Mark I changes, the only thing that it actually does is change which type of seat you get. They're going to be different modifications of racing seats. As soon as you get into the Mark II setups, you're actually going to be changing the seats. The roll cage is going to be added, but you're also going to be modifying the steering wheel a little bit. And then when you get into the Mark III setups, you're going to be completely changing the interface that you see. It's going to have a much more like rally race car setup with the dials, gauges, knobs, everything like that. It becomes way less civilian and more like it's meant for the track. So a ton of customization options here that you can choose to do with roll cages, seats, and ultimately the steering wheel and the interior of the car. All of that is adjusted with the chassis. Now, after that, it's time to upgrade the exhaust. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, why is there an exhaust option on here? I thought the car was electric. That's actually something we'll talk about in a little bit as we take it out of the LSC. So there are exhaust options if you want to change those, which again, at first I was a little bit confused by. There's also some grill options too. You can insert a carbon or a plastic grill if you want. Same with the hoods. You've got a couple of different vented, double, and quad hood options. And then that leads us to liveries. And there's a lot of liveries here. In fact, more than the normal. There's actually 12 instead of like 10 that most cars have. So the first I really like. In fact, it might actually be my favorite. That is Overflod Stripes. It sort of puts like a cross on the car with this thick light blue line. You've got the Overflod logo on the hood and roof, and then the Overflod text on the spoiler and at the bottom of the door sill. I really like this. The blue and the white look really good together. It's simple, but just enough flair to keep it interesting. And alternative Overflod stripes, it's the exact same thing, but instead of it being light blue, you go to this bright yellow. So again, really good ones right there. I am a big fan of both of those. Now, after that, it is Amigas Racing, which I think is okay. There's a lot of sponsorships on the left side of the hood, a giant Amigas logo pretty much all over the car. I thought the livery itself was a little sloppy, like in terms of the placement of things. Maybe it was just the color I had on there, but that is Amigas Racing. The next one I think is beautiful in the ugliest way possible. That is Stuck in the 90s. I'm getting like this vaporwave vibe here. It also reminds me of like those plastic cups you would get with that purple and green design on them. It's hard to explain, but I'm sure you guys exactly know what I'm talking about. So if you wanted to do a fun one, Stuck in the 90s is an outstanding livery choice. The next one is Sprunk Racing, which usually I like the Sprunk ones, but I'm not a big fan of it here. It looks like someone got a bunch of stamps of green and started putting them all over the place, and in some instances, they ended up missing a few spots. So I'm not sure what's going on with this Sprunk livery. Again, usually I'm a big fan of the Sprunk, but this one, I just can't really fall in love with all that much. The next one I think is decent. That is LTD Racing. This one definitely has the most like race car-y vibe here. You've got the LTD sponsorships, Aerogas. You've got the 5 in the black circle on there. Again, I think it's okay. I wasn't really going for a race car look here. And so because of that, it's not something that I personally would choose. But either way, that is LTD Racing. The next one is Cerveza Borracho, which is really cool. I like it. It's just not really the livery for me. It's like half the car has this like repeating text of Cerveza Borracho, and then the other side of the car is just like plain. It's interesting, and it has like the bull on the top and on the hood. So again, it's a fun design. I can't say it's the one that I'm totally in love with, but either way, that is Cerveza Borracho. The next one I'm just not a big fan of at all. It's Kissima Beer, which has this giant pink kitty on the front, and it looks like it has the pink kitty logo like on the side of the car. It's really weird. I really don't know how to describe this one all that well, but that one is Kissima Beer. After that, it is Zero Gas, which I think is okay. Kind of looks like a red and blue chevron and candy cane all at the same time, which is an interesting design. It's not one that I'm totally in love with, but I think the colors are good at least. After that, it's Ragarum, which I do really like a lot. This isn't like a car I would think of traditionally to put a Ragarum livery on, but it still looks really good. And this livery would look really good with like a black or a white paint job to sort of match the Ragarum logos. After that, it is Muscle Gymnasium, which I don't know about you guys, but when I look at this one, it's kind of like I'm being hypnotized. Like, I just feel like it looks like what would happen if someone psychic was trying to put me to sleep. And then you've got the Muscle Gym logo. So it's an interesting one, that's for sure. And last but not least today, the final one is Mean Machine, which kind of has like a fighter jet vibe with like the steel and the shark teeth in the front with the black stripes going down the front of the car. Again, another interesting design here. Overall, I think it looks cool, but I can't say I'm the biggest fan, especially because I'm not looking to have like a, fighter jet vibe going on here. But maybe that's something you are looking for, and if that is the case, it could be a pretty cool one for you. Now, after the liveries, you've got your respray options. You have primary, secondary, and trim. Primary is going to have an impact on pretty much the entire body of the car outside of the roof. That is what the secondary color is going to change, the roof panel only. And then your trim color is going to have an impact on basically the entire interior. So choose wisely here, as you're going to impact a lot of the inside of the car. After that, you've got a couple of mirror options, primary and carbon, if you wanted to change that. You have some roof options too, if you wanted to mess with the colors of those. Same with the skirt options. The next interesting one is spoilers, where there's actually 15 different spoilers. In fact, it comes with a stock spoiler, but because this car is electric, its traction is all the way up, even without adding a spoiler option. And what's cool is if you use like the flick back and forth spoiler trick, you can actually remove the spoiler from this car, because traditionally there would have been no way to do that, which does give it a rather interesting look. That's for sure. So you can remove the spoiler from this car. It just takes a little bit of a trick in order to get that done, but most of you guys should be able to do that no problem. Now, once you've selected your spoiler, you have another category with a ton of options, and that is the sun strip. And this not only will allow you to put a sun strip on like the front windscreen, but you can also modify the quarter covers as well on the side of the vehicle. So lots of things you can do here. I will say, for $2 million on this sports car, you are getting an insane amount of customization here. So I'm really glad that Rockstar did not skimp out on that. Now, after you've adjusted the sun strip, we are going to be taking this vehicle outside. And from there, we can look at a couple of things like the stock wheels. Can you change those colors with the iFruit app? The answer is yes, you can, which if you wanted to make them blue or red or green or yellow, you totally could using the iFruit app. And they're pretty good looking rims, so that right there is pretty positive. We can open up, obviously, the passenger and driver side door, and we can also open up the hood as well. No trunk here, and you can see the engine. Now, we'll talk about the engine in a little bit, but I want to get onto the headlights next. The headlights are actually awesome here. Your main headlights almost look like a plus sign, which is pretty cool. And then your brights are like these 2 rows of lights right next to them. So Rockstar did actually add bright headlights on this car. And the taillights look very futuristic as well. You've got that 1 bar at the top and then the brake and the reverse lights underneath. So some pretty cool stuff right there. Now, talking about the engine itself, what's interesting is this engine is actually electric. However, it also has a hydrogen methanol engine that kicks in at higher speeds and gears. So when you're going slow and when you're initially taking off, you won't hear anything because the car is fully electric. But as you get going and driving, you will start to hear an engine going. And that is why the car has the exhaust, because it has to get rid of the hydrogen methanol gas that is released. And I guess that's why Rockstar decided to name this car Imorgon, because that actually means tomorrow in Swedish. And in real life, this car has been given the nickname the Car of Tomorrow due to its concept of potentially having unlimited fuel. So that's a pretty cool Easter egg right there that you might not have known about. But anyways, that right there is 15 things you need to know about the Overflod Imorgon before you end up buying this vehicle in Grand Theft Auto Online. As far as when it will be released, it's the next scheduled car to come out on the Legendary Motorsports site, so it could be releasing fairly soon. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. What do you think of this vehicle? Are you going to be buying it on day one? Are you going to be skipping out on it? Will you wait for the vehicle to go on sale or have a discount? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and more in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you want to stay up to date on all the latest GTA and all the Diamond Casino Heist videos that I'm doing here on my channel over the next couple of days and weeks. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.